This is Eric with Nutrition by Eric. I hope you're doing well. Today, let's talk about money. What is money? Where did it come from? How do we end up with the money we have, and why is it worth less and less over time? And that ties in with inflation and deflation. So uh, you got to think way, way back when kind of tribes existed in the world, and they didn't have a system to really buy anything. There weren't really stores even. Maybe some in a tribal community, someone figured out how to make a necklace, and someone figured out how to make boots, and other people figured out how to make a hat, and various items people would want, clothing. Other people knew how to grow food. Some people knew how to fish or hunt. So you could see there's a primitive version of what we do today, buying and selling things. And someone would just kind of guess, well, if I have 5 chickens, maybe I could trade it for a small cow, because that's kind of what they guess, a small animal for 5 small animals for one big animal, or there's a lot of trading went on, and then eventually we need something that we can just use, not to barter, but that we can buy things with. And they tried, as history goes, shells and rocks and other kinds of things, different types of metals. But gold and silver kind of won out. They just have unique properties that makes it very good for making coins. They don't rust. They don't break very easily. You can melt them down and reform them into new gold and silver. And then they get mixed with other metals sometimes, kind of because other metals are cheaper. So a lot of interesting history. So in 1948, gold was discovered in California, and in 1973, gold was made optional in U.S. coinage. I'm just reading some notes I found online. In 1900, though, it became illegal for U.S. citizens to own bullion, which is things that gold is formed into, like coins and little bars and things like that. The price of gold was fixed at $20.67 an ounce from the mid-30s to 1968, when it began to fluctuate again. So there's a history of gold changing value. Banks were created, and they made life easier for people. You instead of walking around with gold coins and having to hide them under your mattress at home, you would trust. There's a lot of trust involved. You would trust the bank to hold your gold, and they would give you, bills that you could carry, which is a lot easier to bring around some paper, even though it was, very special paper that was hard to reproduce, so people couldn't counterfeit it. So it made life easier, but there's always a risk. So there's risk and there's trust. Two key things with money. You can try to hold it yourself and walk around with gold coins, but that might be, catch a lot of attention. People see gold coins in your pocket, or they hear the noise. Or you lose one. It could be a little difficult. So there's an interesting story, and I want to give credit to Mike Maloney. He really explains a lot. If you haven't heard of him, you might want to look him up on YouTube. And he has a wonderful series he produced called The Hidden Secrets of Money. It's a really interesting story of how money turns into the paper bills, which is called fiat, and how they lose value because gold, there's only so much. So I can't really, besides having artificial gold or a fake version, metal that looks like gold, you can't really say there's more gold than there is, or you can't have more gold, I should say. You can say you have more gold, but you can't really show 20 ounces if you only have 10. But if you create fiat, it's a printing machine. As long as you have the stock, you can print as much as you want. Now, the gold is supposed to be a tether. You're supposed to only print so much bills to have so much gold. So there was it kind of held it in check. And then that went on for a while until in 1971 or 73, I'm going to check my notes, Nixon said, we're not going to do that. We're not going to tether it to the gold. We're not going to have our printing be dependent and restricted by how much gold we have. But it's only temporary, guys. Don't worry. He just kind of snuck it in. And maybe even said it in a way that really didn't catch people's attention. but it was a big thing. If you all of a sudden, if you could only print bills in relationship to how much gold you have, and then that restriction was removed, oh boy, you could really, go to town. Oh, we need a couple extra 100 million for a fund, just temporary, guys. Okay, fire up the presses. Oh, we just need a couple more for something else. Okay, fire it up again. So that was a big thing that happened in the early 70s. And that is why things, the value starts to become less. This is just a phenomenon of supply and demand, where you have more paper bills in the world. So all of a sudden it gets in more people's hands, so things can cost more. Well, instead of 10 people having $100, now you have 100 people having $100, and they can have 100 people. It's just more people having more money, and that might drive, and often does drive prices up. I struggle with these concepts, but because it's a lot of people, it's a lot of money, and there's lots of dynamics. But that's part of it. And then we have the reserve currency, which means everything kind of is measured against the U.S. dollar. So it's changed recently, but if people were to buy oil, you have to change. If you want to go from Chinese currency to Mexican currency and you're buying oil, you have to go change into dollars in the meantime. And this was very good for the U.S. that they had this advantage, that this kind of king of the hill position to do that. And that was enforced by the government, and there's terms like the petrodollar, but it comes back to what really is what is money, and what is the relationship between the dollar bills / the numbers in your bank account and the actual gold coins and silver coins. A lot of people don't realize that. So as I stated earlier, gold was $20 an ounce, and then there was a time it was illegal to own gold, and then that was reversed, and you could have gold, but now it's $35 an ounce. So the value changed, and I don't know if you know how much it is today. Fast forward to today, it's like $2,000 an ounce. When the value of gold goes up, the value of the dollar goes down. It's an inverse relationship. But what's interesting also that I don't hear anybody talk about is if you look at what it says on a coin, on a gold coin, it says, I don't have one right now, but it says $50. So this $20 gold coin, well over 100 years ago, went to $35. The coin says $50, but to buy that coin, you need $2,000. So it may not just seem like it doesn't match, but it also shows something's not right, perhaps. So it's just an interesting system. Now, someone had to sit down and design, how much, money is made, and then there's a Federal Reserve, and there's lots of dynamics. There's the Central Bank of America. There is one, and they did some shady stuff, and then the founding fathers stopped, Jefferson or something, kick them out, and then I think there's another central bank, because someone has to be a bank even for the government. The government can't, where do they get money? Someone has to be the bank for the whole, for the government, basically. And if you have that power, if you have that ability to be in control, it's part of human nature creeps in, and people can, say, well, I'll just, give my friends a little bit more. I'm speculating, but there was some corruption, as there's always been in history. There's always been corruption in all, especially in high levels of power, government, in banking, in military, and all kinds of, just throughout humanity, basically. So gold served as a tether. It holds value, and it's a very interesting story. Again, I'm going to mention Mike Maloney's Hidden Secrets of Money. I'll remember to put it in the description below. And yeah, gold is kind of used as a tether. It's kind of keeps um, countries. It it can show, like, how rich a country is how much gold they have a lot of times, and also the other resources. So it's an interesting story because a lot of people don't really think about the relationship. It used to be, very integrated into the banking society, and your money was really a relationship of how much gold that existed in your bank. So it used to be a 1-to-1. If you had $20, you would go to the bank, and your bank should have $20 in a safe, and you could swap it out. And if all the bank had $1 million between all the people. Let's say 10 people had $100,000. That's $1 million. So those 10 people, anyone could come in at any time and say, okay, I want to swap out my $100,000 in bills for the $100,000 in gold, because that was the idea. And that's not the case. It got diluted. So the bank said, well, now you only have to have 1%. So if a bank has customers that have $100 million, they only have to have $1 million worth of gold or something that's equivalent. It's called fractional lending. So it's a very strange thing. It's a little bit tricky to understand, but it's a lot of smoke and mirrors is kind of what it comes down to. And I'm bringing it up because you see, it's kind of a change of history. It's a change because we now have crypto, and another thing that's kind of a tether is Bitcoin, because it has 21 million coins, and that's it. No one can add or subtract. Well, they can subtract, but they can't add to that. So that's one tether that kind of keeps that cryptocurrency in place. But it's human nature. People say, well, if they are in control, if they've created a financial system, they want that ability to add as much as they want, because they're running that, so to speak. So it makes you kind of question, if you work really hard to make $1 million, you work your whole life to make 1 million, $10 million, and someone can just print it or digitally kind of type it into a bank account. Is that right? Is that fair? Do you even know about it? I suspect this happens. I can't say for sure, but I suspect, and from what I've heard, you can work really hard and get money, as they call it, but it's really fiat, as Mike Maloney says, and you can get that in your bank account, and someone could, you're trusting that that's going to stay in there, where someone else could just type it into a bank account because they are running the show. So, what do you do? How do you have control over the funds you've earned? Well, that's why some people suggest having actual gold and silver, because you have it, and it's been valuable for thousands and thousands of years. It will likely continue to be very valuable. And that brings me to the sponsor of today's show, which is Money Metals Exchange. They're an online business that you can buy gold shipped right to your house, gold, silver, and the like. And just go to my website, nutritionbyeric.com/mme. I'll put in the link. I'll put a link in the description, and you can see if you've never bought it, never bought gold or silver. You can, and it's very valuable. You could pass it on to your kids, or you could gift it to somebody. And it's, some people say, there might hurt. Some people say there could be a collapse. Everything goes through cycles, and I hope it doesn't happen. I hope it doesn't. If it does, I hope it's sometime soon. But if, God forbid, a bank closes, or they just deny you your funds, or there's some accident or the power goes out for a long time, you have something valuable that you can use to kind of to trade, to buy things. That's what people use, and when there wasn't electricity and when you didn't have dollar bills, that's a pouch of coins, a bag of gold and silver coins. And by the way, silver is usually, silver is kind of like the coins, and gold is kind of like hundreds of, well, many hundreds of dollars a bill. So, a silver coin, if you don't know, a silver 1 ounce is about $20 today, and gold again is around $2,000 a coin. So there's a 100-to-1 ratio. The ratio changed over time. It used to be 80 and more, a little less, 50. The relationship changed over time, but usually gold was worth more than silver. And these are just some good things to know about. As things are a little bit sketchy or unpredictable in the world, it's good to be prepared. Just kind of have the Boy Scout motto. Be prepared for anything. I wasn't a Boy Scout, but I think that's what they're saying is. So be ready. Might be good to know about the history. Check out Mike Maloney's video, and perhaps look into getting some gold and silver coins of your own if you haven't already, and perhaps crypto like Bitcoin. And if you do, put it in a hardware wallet. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. Trezor or Ledger, and just keep yourself safe. All right, that's it for now. Good luck out there. I'll see you.